Hello.
Hello.
We are back.
Yay.
For more Marriage Matters fun.
Yes.
And now we've got funky jingles.
Season 2, isn't it?
Season 2 of Marriage Matters.
Yeah.
We're back.
My name's Jo and...
My name's not.
Not Jo.
My name is Andy. So welcome back to Marriage Matters, where we discuss matters of the marriage that matter because matters of the marriage matter because marriage matters.
Absolutely. Very succinct.
Well, no.
No,
but,
not really.
I appreciate your kind comments, kind of. So welcome back. Anyway, so if you want to keep up to date with all that we're doing with the Berry Bunch, which is quite a lot, actually, then you can sign up to our newsletter. But firstly, you can sign up to Facebook. Well, not necessarily sign up, but you can follow us on Facebook. Yep. You can follow us on Instagram. We're also on Twitter. Sort of telling about having some technical issues with that one. But yeah, the best thing you can do is to sign up to our newsletter. We've got a new funky cool website. It's all happening.
Yeah, and here in the studio.
Is that what you've? Yeah, I got 2 tablets and a phone, which hopefully will work.
You've got the power.
Well, I've got 2 tablets and a phone. We'll see.
Yeah, so this is our first episode of the second season in this series. Have I got that right?
In the series of Marriage Matters, yes.
And we're going to look at, well, we've called it What's the Big Deal? Obviously, we're married. We've been married for 25 years, and we want to celebrate that. We want to encourage ourselves and people who are watching and you joining us to stick at it, go for it, keep going, and help and support each other to keep going, because it's not easy and we have hard times and we have good times, and so we want to keep going. But what is the big deal? Why are we banging on about being married? What is the significance? What's the importance? Why are we saying it's right?
Because marriage matters. And if it wasn't, we wouldn't have a podcast called Marriage Matters.
That's what we're going to talk about anyway.
That's not bad logic, is it?
Absolutely.
We were going to be doing something else today, so we shoehorned this one in.
Yeah.
So if it's a bit clunky, forgive us.
Forgive us, yeah. But that's what we're going to do. What is the big deal? Why marriage? What's the importance?
What's the big deal of it?
Yeah.
So I mentioned this the other day, actually, in an Andy B 2-minute video, where I said that, is it psychology or psychoanalysis or one of those things that I can't even pronounce? And they were looking at family and family models.
Yeah.
And the very strongest family model for a child to grow up in is a husband and a wife in a marriage. That is the best foundation for a child to grow up from. So psychologically, social workers, or I can't remember who looked at this, the right job title. Yeah. That's not my strong point. And basically, God's design is best.
Yeah,
so no surprise.
That makes sense. And we will look at the Bible. Sorry.
I was going to say, but that doesn't mean to say if things go wrong that somehow it's the worst.
No.
That's not to mean misconstrued.
No. And the Bible is clear from the very beginning.
Yes.
The idea is to be married. One man, one woman in marriage. Adam and Eve started it all, didn't it, at the beginning?
They started all sorts of things.
Well, yeah. Things went a bit pear-shaped. But, in the beginning it was good. And God's design was good, and the idea was to go off and multiply, isn't it? And here we are, lots of people on the earth, lots of families, lots of people, and it's exciting.
It is.
But there are troubles and difficulties. So that's what we're talking about. What's the big deal?
And as ever in Marriage Matters, we're looking at what is our experience personally. How can we share that with you?
Yep.
We talk, real stories from our own life. 25 years as husband and wife. As Jo very wonderfully said it in that very first episode, that we've lasted this long. And that's what we're going to be sharing. We'll be back after the break. In 2018, Jo and I were full-time children's ministers, loving what we were doing and wanting to share our resources freely with others to use. Scroll on 2 years to 2020 and we'd finally launched our berrybunch.family website. Chock full of resources. It was a bit embarrassing when we had one video, but we've now got nearly 500 videos for you to use, stream, share and download with 900 posts. All full of information that you are free to use in your situation, whether that's a church, a family, or just for your own personal use. We've been asked to do all sorts of things. We've made logos. There's somebody who wanted a new logo for their blog. We've been asked to create children's discipleship group, so we've done that. We've been asked to create a book about broken dreams and hope, and we've done that as well. We love creating resources that are relevant for your situation, so get in touch with what your needs are. Our vision and our passion is to create material that is family safe for free for all, wherever you are in the world. And that is exactly what we do. So if you want to help us continue to do that, or if you want us to make something specific for your situation, then get in touch. And that was very skillfully the wrong jingle.
Oh, well.
Are you impressed?
We carry on. The show goes on.
We carry on.
So thanks for joining us as we look at what is the big deal about marriage. And I think, when we see on programs and films, I think marriage gets a bad reputation, doesn't
Very
it?
much.
It seems to be boring, or, like the joke about, oh, you're married, you don't have sex or something. It's always sort of quite derogatory, negative, and not cool or funky or anything. And so, we're sort of thinking, is it, so last year or something? That's kind of the feeling you get from the films, isn't it? And programs.
No, there's very much an air of marriage. Oh gosh, that's really boring. So many films, it's the stereotype, isn't it? Of the husband's out with his mates and they're all having fun and they're all going to go out and party. What are you doing? Oh, I'm going home to the wife and, probably sleep on the couch, and really boring. And, you get this all the time. And actually, marriage is really exciting. It can get boring, but like anything, of course it can. And if you don't work at it and you don't persevere with it and you don't feed it, of course.
Do you remember that old program in the 70s, the Butterflies?
I'm too young for that, dear.
The bored housewife, and she was like, it was really sad because she started to get interested in someone else.
I'll listen to you because I'm not that old.
But it was always the archetypal bored housewife, and that obviously marriage was not enough, and arguably marriage isn't enough. We shouldn't think it's the be all and end all of life, and marriage isn't for everyone, is it?
Nope.
Celibacy should be celebrated, and there are times in our lives when we're not married. So when you're young before marriage, when you're a little bit older, and all kinds of periods of time when you are single, and we celebrate being single. But if you are going to be with someone, we believe the best design from a Bible perspective, isn't it, that it's to be in marriage. So why do we think that, Andy?
I don't know. Why
Should
do
we
we
look
think
at
that?
the scripture and see why?
Shall we see what God said?
So Genesis 2:24, right in the beginning.
Genesis 2. NIV today.
Oh, well, okay.
It's lighter.
All right.
It's a lighter weight Bible. That's all. No other reason. So Genesis 2 verse 24. For this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh.
Simples.
Is that it? Are we done now?
Well, no. Did you want
more.
to expand? You want to go through that, or do you want the other scriptures?
Oh yeah. More scriptures.
More scriptures. Okay, Ephesians 5:25, and there's a lot in there about relationships.
Ephesians 5:25 says the following. Oh yeah. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her.
Ah,
Do you want some
lovely.
more? To make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless.
Ah.
And it goes on to some. Do you want more?
Well, no, it was just a simple bit about loving, husbands loving their wives.
Which is always good.
Because the next one, Proverbs 21:10, talks about wives.
There's a third. Proverbs
21:10.
The wicked man craves evil. That's not the right one.
No, Proverbs 21:10.
That is 21:10.
Oh, it was something about wives are beautiful jewels or something. So I've obviously written it down wrong.
Well,
we'll find the right one at a later date.
Yes, the wicked man craves evil isn't quite the way we were going today.
But yeah, wives.
We'll come back to Proverbs.
Are jewels, and
Yes.
and husbands love their wives. There's some beautiful scriptures about the significance and the importance of marriage and how good it can be for us.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I think Hollywood has a huge responsibility. I think the church generally, globally, has a big responsibility here. On the one hand, you've got the church, which is not celebrating marriage. Quite a few marriage bloggers that we follow, they always say, has anybody ever heard a sermon ever on the Song of Songs? And there's this wall of silence because no one talks about it. I said this in the last season. I've only heard one reference to the Song of Songs in a scripture, in a sermon, and it was, that's God's little dirty book. Now, I can't comprehend that a minister would say that. But anyway, it isn't. But that's the only reference in 35, 40 years of walking with Jesus. That's the only time I've heard it mentioned. So we're quite passionate about the Song of Songs. It's written for married couples. It's written for couples who are going to get married and are married. And it's a really good bit of scripture.
Yeah.
But I think when we're looking at the God's design, we're looking at what the world is telling us, when the church isn't celebrating marriage and isn't honouring God through how good a marriage is, that's one part of the problem. The second part of the problem is this assumption that if you're married, it's boring.
Yeah.
Now, we touched on this in the last season. We talked about how when you're married for a long time, there's a vulnerability, there's a relationship, there's a trust, there's time, and actually everything gets better as you learn to understand one another. Any situation, two people who cycle together, or a football team, and you're gonna get to know each other better. Now, a football team will know, that person's going to run up there, that person's going to probably run back. If I kick the ball over there, they're going to do this. I know what that means. But that's really a basic level. Actually, within the confines of a marriage, which is God's design for two people for life, actually the level and depth of vulnerability, and therefore the joy that comes with that from constantly knowing each other better, it's just much better. But Hollywood, what did Hollywood do? Well, marriage is boring, it's really dull, it's really boring. Spicy your marriage, go and have an affair. Aren't affairs wonderful and fun and brilliant? And no, they're actually not. It just destroys. And I remember seeing some stuff on the BBC one time about wives in specifically who had dealt with their husbands having had affairs. It was quite shocking from the BBC because it was really good and true. Actual journalism, who knew? But they were talking about the fact that these wives are devastated and destroyed because their husbands having that affair was totally terrible for the family. It just destroys and it disrupts. So when you've got these two conflicting things, and Hollywood, we're not saying just Hollywood, we're talking about,
the film industry,
video media, making light of it when you've got nudity on screen, and you've effectively got pornography, which is really, really terrible and bad, but we'll do pornography on TV because then it's okay because it's art. No, it's not. And actually it's still not okay because you know what? I only want to have eyes for Joe and she only wants to have eyes for me. And if I'm getting bombarded with, Joe will never be enough for me. You've got to sexually, explore to really enjoy. Have sex before marriage, then you'll know whether they're good or not. I've been married for 25 years. That means I've had 25 years of practice of learning to get to know Joe, understanding how she is in the mornings, how she's in the evenings, knowing when she needs another cup of coffee, and all these little things make up a much wider picture, which makes for a really good relationship. And you can't do that on the fly. No. You can't do that overnight. You can't do it just because you've got married in a church and you didn't have sex before marriage and you've waited. That's great, but you can't develop the relationship without developing the relationship. And that's going to take time, it's going to take effort, it's going to take sacrifice.
Yeah. I have heard it said you can base a nation on how you treat family, how you treat marriages, and so it's the foundation of a society that works, isn't it? If your families are taken care of, they can provide for themselves, they can look after themselves, they can function, then you find that is the foundation of a decent quality nation, isn't it? And that's God's design, isn't it? That's the foundation. And when you start shifting that and people don't know where they are with it all, then I think the society shakes, and because marriage provides that security and that safety and those boundaries, not just for the children but everybody involved, isn't it? It's
in
quality.
A way that you can't have anywhere else, actually. I think I don't think you can have that same security, and research backs that up very clearly, very much. So we know from social studies that the home, if it's a husband and a wife with children and they're in a marriage, those children are going to have the best possible beginning. As I said, don't think, one of us has had an affair, now my husband's died, I'm on my own, therefore it's the end. It doesn't work that way. But we always look at what's God's design, what do we believe his best is, based on our own relationship. After a quarter of a century, that sounds old, doesn't it? After a quarter of a century together, what do we think of it, and how does that fit, and how have we worked it out? And I pray daily for our boys to have really good wives when they grow older, because I know personally as a bloke how much you are the jewel. I'll have to find that. I'll find that Proverbs thing, because it's a really good thing. And what I found is You are like the jewel. You never complete me. If you're getting married because you think that other person is going to somehow make you whole, I'm afraid you're going to fail and you're going to have a pretty miserable marriage until you realise all you need is Jesus. And me getting married to Jo was fantastic, but Jo is never going to complete me. She's never going to be everything I need. What she can be is an amazing friend and all sorts. But she can't complete me. She can't be everything because only Jesus can supply all our needs.
I know what you're saying about things can go wrong, and we are not always responsible for some of the things that go on in marriages and all the rest of it. But we can aim high, aim for a standard, and people do choose to live together. And as much as you might think, well, there's no point in getting married, but there's a commitment that you make, isn't it? You make a promise to stick together, and I wonder at the insecurity of living together, because there's almost that, well, I'm not quite wanting to commit fully here, so if things go wrong, I can sort of go my own way, which doesn't build a great foundation, does it, in that sense? And I appreciate some people have been living together a lot longer than people have been married, in fairness.
But that isn't the norm. That is very rare.
No, absolutely. And I've heard, that when people have got married, they found the difficulties. But of course, it's if you're going to do something the right way, it doesn't necessarily go easily, does it? Because
And then we go back to the Bible and we realise that God's plan is for marriage to be until death. Which is not a millstone around your neck, but it's wonderful. It's a real security blanket there. What you said? I've lost my train of thought then.
I was talking about living together and
okay. So one of the things that we know so clearly is people will say, well, you need to have sex together before marriage. It's like driving a car, and you'll know if you fit together. Can I just say, God's design is really good. A husband and a wife, you're gonna fit. Don't worry about that part. Yes, there may be some other issues that perhaps very rarely you may need to work through. Perhaps the wife particularly might experience pain, or being a bit more blunt, that bladder infections can be quite common. It has happened. Don't worry, you can work through that. But God's design, it works. You don't need to test out sex to see if it's going to work. The human race is not here because of experiments with sex and whether it's good or not. It kind of works. It's not complicated. But when you live together, the reality is you are not going to live together for long. And we know this. There's so many studies, it's not really worth even trying to go there. We know that people who have sex before they get married are far more likely to have a divorce, or if not married, to separate. So having sex is never going to join you in a way that a legal document will. And we need to treat marriage seriously, because actually it is a great building block for society.
Absolutely.
And I remember Andy Hawthorne saying something to the prayer breakfast at the MPs a few years back, and he was talking about why is it we get so surprised as society when society shakes, when things aren't working, and it's because we're taking Jesus out of it. And actually, when you remember the reason that marriage is used by Jesus so often as an illustration, it's the power of marriage. We are the bride of Christ. He isn't going to give up on us. And in the same context, we shouldn't be giving up on each other. We try the wrong jingle again.
So let's pray. Andy's going to come on and show us how to pray. Excellent. What have you got there?
It's my world's atlas.
Okay.
So I can pray for the world.
Okay.
You see, pray's good.
Right. Okay. You're going to show us how to do that then?
Yeah. So I've got my atlas, and if you go to the letter A, I'm going to start here. So please God, please bless our Ben Ra and our Chun and our Borg.
What did you like about the story?
Bob, you like Bob?
And the stick. We like sticks.
You like the stick?
We like sticks a lot, I do.
Okay, well, we'll try and make sure there's some more stories with sticks in,
Thank
Dave,
you.
especially for you.
Hang on, we've lost the camera.
Yeah, we're back.
Oh, it's there. I told you we're getting there.
You sure having all this business here is helping?
Yeah. Technology's brilliant.
What are we back for? We're back for our
Tips and resources.
You didn't do your voice.
Tips and resources. I got a bit of a cough.
Aww.
Tips and resources. Is that better?
That's better.
Is that all right?
That's fine.
Sip of tea.
I was thinking that it might be quite good to look at some...
I know why the camera didn't work.
Why?
I can fix it.
Oh, good.
Take 5 minutes.
Excellent. After this.
Yeah.
I was thinking you could read some of the biblical marriages. I mean, some of them we can learn a lot from, not necessarily to follow them and do as they do.
No.
But there's some good things to learn from. So, for example, with Abraham and Sarah, let's take matters not into our own hands and try and figure stuff out.
Well.
That didn't end well. Some real problems in their marriage. But listen to God. Take things to God in prayer, in marriage. That would be a good tip from their marriage to think about.
Be flexible. Why do I say be flexible? We weren't doing this today. This was next Saturday's filming. We were going to do something else completely different today.
Yeah.
And that couldn't happen. So we're well, let's get ahead. And I think in marriage, my tip would be this. Try and get ahead in marriage of stuff. Don't wait for disaster. Don't wait for things to go wrong. Don't wait for your wife to pick up the stuff off the floor. There's a stereotype. Can I just say, as a stay-at-home husband, it's not the husbands that leave the stuff on the floor. It's the person that isn't at home who leaves the stuff on the floor.
Yes.
I remember having this person, female, really berating me. Oh, men are stupid. You leave all this stuff around the house. You can't multitask like we can. You're wimps. You're useless. And I'm sitting and thinking, okay, how do I answer this one? And I remember that I just that morning picked up after you come home from work, you just dump your stuff and go into the shower, and then in the morning you leave all your stuff behind and go to work, and I'm left picking up the pieces. It's got nothing to do with men.
No, it's the role, isn't it?
It's the role.
Yeah.
Because if you're working, the last thing you want to do is stick dirty washing in the washing basket because you just want to get to work.
The other biblical marriage I was thinking about was Joseph and Mary, and what you can learn from that is, like, in a way, they were quite ordinary. There was nothing sort of special particularly about Joseph and Mary. They're very ordinary, from a poor background, weren't they? And yet God did something extraordinary. So with God is the God of the impossible. So if you're thinking, well, it's just an ordinary marriage, there's no big deal, we just pootle along. But, you don't know what God's doing in your lives.
No.
So I thought that was a good one.
So I'm just thinking about the fix to the camera issue.
Oh, my goodness, I've lost you.
But I know how to fix it.
But we often in this period, this slot, don't we sort of think about resources and books and things like that. We'll always bang on about Song of Songs, always a good one to read. And there are definitely lots of resources, and we'll put them on the links because there's lots of different books. But if you find some books that are useful, then do tell us about them.
Yeah, if you've got a good book.
Yeah, it's always good, isn't it, to read up.
We try to advise what we know. So we used to have a shop, and we never... I think actually we're all the way through. We didn't sell anything we hadn't tried or used ourselves. So we did genuinely use it. So when we said we've got one of these at home, we actually had one or more at home. So we sold stuff we believed in. And in the same way, so if you've got a resource, let us know. We'll try and get a copy and we can let people know.
I suppose the other thing where you learn about marriage is from your own family, don't you? But if you've had a bad experience, so for us, we've both come from divorced families. It's hard to sort of... But again, looking at the biblical marriages, you learn from other people's mistakes. I prefer that than to learn from my own mistakes. So you can learn from what didn't work and stuff like that, can't you?
Mary and Joseph is an interesting one because baby before the wedding. Now, they didn't have sex. They didn't get pregnant by Joseph. That was the Holy Spirit. It's an amazing supernatural event. However, what a rocky start.
Yeah.
What were people thinking of them? Oh, that Mary and Joseph. And don't forget, back in Jesus' day, sex out of marriage and pregnancy was not just a bit of a naughty thing. It was you could be stoned to death in certain places. So it was really serious. But that supernatural event obviously was awesome.
I mean, thinking about family support, it's really great when you have family support, but we don't always get it, do we?
No.
And so, we have to go through those things together.
Yes. I'm going to hit a video and fix the thing.
All right, excellent.
So, endurance. Wait, no, first I'm Stephen.
I'm Nathan.
And we're brothers, actually.
In case you hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the much more masculine physique on this side may have thrown you off.
Yeah, I'm actually older.
Yeah.
Taller. Stronger. Fitter.
Maybe.
Oh, definitely.
Anyway, that's not the point of endurance. The point is spiritual training, not physical.
Yep.
Not that we don't compete that much.
Nor spiritually. You shouldn't compete spiritually either.
No. But I'm better than you.
Don't know what to say to that.
There is no answer.
So the point of endurance is all about
Take a mick out of each other.
All about 1 Timothy 4 verse 8, which says, physical training is good, but training for godliness is much better. And so it was an idea which I think it was my idea actually, wasn't it?
It was a joint effort. There's no I in team.
Yes, it was definitely my idea.
Yeah.
And the idea being that we have to... Well, I was challenged because basically I enjoy exercise. I was doing lots of weight training, lots of running, and I was getting a bit obsessed.
You were failing to train spiritually.
Yeah, you could say that I was idolizing physical fitness rather than...
we created endurance to help him learn better how
And
to
so
balance spiritual and physical training.
Yeah, basically. Okay.
Because I already cracked it.
No.
No?
Got a long way to go yet. So go check us out.
I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, you're way behind.
Cut.
Well, I'm working on the video. The audio's working. I nearly fixed it.
It's all right for those who are just listening.
It's fine. If you're not watching it, it's not a problem. Me watching this is just, this is terror.
But we got really cool t-shirts.
Got cool t-shirts. Just a shame that my technical skills were a little bit lacking. I always need a third tablet. That's the difference.
That's the problem.
Maybe a fifth computer or something. I don't know. So this is the takeaway.
Yes.
Where we think about food and reminisce. No.
No.
Where we think about what we're going to take away from today.
From what's the big deal?
Yes. So what's the big deal for you, dear?
Well, it's clear from scripture that marriage is important and it's something we should celebrate and endorse. And we've basically been extolling the virtues of marriage.
Extolling.
Today.
It's a double L. It should be an extol, shouldn't it?
We've been celebrating marriage, and no, it's good. Marriage is good, and it's the way to go. And I like that because we've been doing it for 25 years, so that's all right. We're on the right track.
We've had some practice. Yeah. So what's your favourite takeaway then? Not that you've lasted this long. I'll take that one out of your arsenal. But when you think of 25 years of being wed to me, what's the thing that you most you find most valuable, having been in this relationship for this long? What do you take away as the most valuable thing to you? What does it give?
I suppose it's what you were saying earlier about what's really beneficial about marriage is that you get used to each other. You know, you're comfortable with each other. You can sit and not talk, or, you know, can you pour out your heart? There's just this comfortable. Some of it you take almost for granted. It's there, but when you're not around, I miss you, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, I'm used to being taken for
no,
granted.
but, do you know what I mean? It's just that I think it's only when we do something like this and talk about it, we go, do you know what? This is really a nice, comfortable, peaceful place to be in a marriage. And so I think it's what you were saying, isn't it? It's that a regular time together, learning about each other. There's still lots more to learn, isn't there? You know.
Yep. I feel like I'm scratching the surface of you sometimes. And I think I would say that my favourite thing along that would be everything you've said, combined or coupled with the fact that we're in a contractual relationship. Which at one level, wow, you signed a contract. But actually that gives me great security because you can't just walk away from me. It made me really sad actually about all the recent stuff about easy divorces and stuff, because there's no such thing as an easy divorce.
No.
Even in a horribly abusive relationship, there's no such thing as an easy divorce. I watched it the other day. Oh yes, we're the cheapest in the UK. We're only 20 quid. Yeah, but do you understand what you're actually doing? Because it isn't just as an easy, quick thing. It's not that simple. You have to extricate two lives apart from each other, and it's really complicated. There are times when a divorce is the only answer. There's, you know, the marriage contract has been ended. Maybe the wife's had a terrible affair, or she's been, I don't know, physically beating up her husband, or the husband's just completely not committed to the relationship anymore, and his mistress is his work, and there's no relationship. When that contract breaks down, yeah, okay, maybe a divorce is the only option, but it's never the easy option. No. And I think that's the thing that's why we need to celebrate marriage as Christians and as the church. It's God's design. You know, we ignore it at our peril, quite honestly.
But we're not on our own. God's going to help us. If he's asked us to do it, it means we can do it.
Yes.
And we go to him and pray about it together.
Absolutely.
To keep going.
So there's the takeaway. So I hope you've enjoyed another Marriage Matters, where we discuss marriage matters of the marriage, because matters of the marriage matter. I didn't even do my berry bunch why not thing. Anyway, so we'll be back next week for more.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
There are many ways to keep in touch with the Berry Bunch. Visit our website and sign up to the Berry Bites newsletter so that you can be notified of all our videos, posts, exciting news and seasonal events.
Subscribe to our Vimeo and YouTube channels where we post brand new homegrown video resources every week.
Join us on Dingdash, a fabulous place that connects people from all around the world. It's social media as it should be. Come join the rebellion.
Like us on Facebook, where we hang out and post extra things to encourage and inspire you. We're on Twitter and Tumblr too. You can also follow us on Instagram, where we share extra photos from the world of the Berry Bunch.
If you've enjoyed any of our posts or videos, share it with a friend and encourage them too. And if you want to encourage us, then like, comment and share on what we make. To help support the ministry we freely provide, check us out on Patreon, where you can support us financially as you feel led.